What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to episode 129 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me and supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And be sure to check the Discord out. I'll have a link in the description below. Right now, I'm doing a build poll on what my next ship build is going to be. So you want to get involved in that, please be sure to join the Discord. I'll have a link in the description below and click on next build poll. I won't go down the list, but I've generated a list based off of my top requests in Minecraft. And if for whatever reason, if you see that there's not a ship or build on there that you want to see me do, go under build suggestions and add your suggestion. This way people can comment and upvote that. This is actually going to be the only way I'm going to be taking suggestions moving forward. And the reason I'm doing this is just so people can actually see all of these suggested builds in one place and actually have a chance to upvote them. But anyway, we've got about a 24-minute episode for the Enterprise D, and we're actually going to be building out the crew quarters. And I've been really looking forward to doing this episode. So we're just going to be jumping right into it. Now, as far as where I am on the ship, right now I'm on the main deck, which is the crew deck, which is connected to the secondary and tertiary shuttle bay. We're at the very front of the ship. That's where we're going to be building out our actual crew quarters. Now, I actually have recently made the decision that I'm only going to end up doing one of these, even though that there is going to be several of these probably on this deck that you guys can do. I'm only going to be doing one for the purpose of this tutorial to try to speed things along a little bit without spending the next 10 years trying to build this thing out. Yeah, because that was something that, I'm not gonna lie. I didn't think that it was gonna take me this long to build out the Enterprise D, and it just, it's turned into one of those things that I've talked about this in the past on the channel that, I've put this much time into it. I'm not okay with just walking away from a half-finished ship. I want it to be completed. Um, but there's going to be certain things that you guys are going to see me doing in the future as far as how I do my tutorials. I feel like I actually learned quite a bit um, from doing this tutorial specifically, because this has been the biggest ship build I've ever done, and there's some things I could have done a little bit better. This is just going to be one of those cases as far as how I adjust with my tutorials going forward, rather than building out this same room over and over again. I'm just going to do the one time as a template, and you guys can add this anywhere that you want on the crew deck. I'm probably going to be adding in a couple of areas on the crew deck just to kind of fill in this deck. But really the primary function of this deck itself is the crew quarters as well as the main deck for them all. And also kind of like a viewing area, one of the viewing decks for the aquarium. So we're looking pretty good here so far. We're just starting out with our doorway, and we're going to work our way in. Now, you'll probably figure this out that I'm not really trying to do a straight one-for-one exact copy of the crew quarters. Really, all I'm going to be trying to accomplish on today's episode and the next episode, because this will be broken up into 2 episodes, I believe, that, I'm just using the picture that we have as a main reference. And what can we take from that? We know that the crew quarters kind of had like these arches that came over, so that's going to be something we're going to be working on. And it had like had a very generous size living room. So you had your living room, conference area, work area, bedroom, and then this would go into the bathroom, which we never really got a chance to see in Next Generation. So that's really all I'm going to be taking out of this picture. That's going to be a reference. Now, what I can tell you right now is that everything you see me doing this back wall here, we're actually going to be adjusting this and bringing it back a little bit further. The reason I'm going to be doing that is because I've either going to realize here in the next minute or two, or I already have realized at this point in the video, that I really don't have that much room right now to build out everything that I want to be able to do. I haven't realized it just yet. That's okay. Yeah, this back wall here, hold off on that for a little while because, like I said, we're going to be bringing that back just a little bit um, in order to facilitate this entire area here. Because, I mean, we could technically make it work based off of this space that we have to deal with. However, it would be kind of very tight, close quarters. And that's something that you don't really see on the next generation, on the Enterprise D. The rooms felt very spacious. Um, but the reason I'm leaving this part of the video right now is because this is kind of like an exploratory area right now and how we can add these brackets in. We can use a combination of these half slabs as well as staircases. That could be an option, but I don't know if it's really going to give it the look that it needs to have. But that doesn't look too bad, actually. That doesn't look bad at all. We might be able to make that work. Really today, the main focus, I think, is going to be getting our room area established and getting the shape of the room in place so that this way in the next episode we can come back and furnish it and detail it. So like I was saying, we're getting rid of this back wall that we just added because we need a little bit more room than what we have, what I just set ourselves to work with. The reason I did it this way is because that very bottom row white concrete, that was originally in the build. We just added this row that I'm actually going back in right now deleting. And you're going to see why I did it this way in just a second, because when we delete that block or that row down there, we're actually going to be exposed to the outside. Now what we can do to combat that, just where this crew quarter room is, we're going to be swapping out these white concrete blocks for half slabs. And we're just going to be bringing that going all the way down. And I think we're going to do the first 2 cuts. Anything past it, we only need to do 2 rows. That's basically it. Well, it'll be a total of 3 rows, 1 in the middle and then 1 on each side. And the cool thing about this is, and this is one of the reasons why I'm not counting out how many blocks I'm going, because when you guys are going room or area to area on this deck to redo this room, it doesn't have to be exactly the same size. It can vary. Now, if you really want it to be the same size, yeah, then count these out to make sure that they match as you go area to area to build this room out. But it's not necessarily something that is absolutely 110% required. You could basically get away without having to do it. I think so anyway, because there's 1 or 2 variations within the crew quarters. I know that this one that we're looking at right now, this is the standard. I want to say that there was an ambassador crew quarters on Next Generation. I could be wrong. I want to say that was a thing. And I know for a fact that Worf and Data's quarters look different than this one. I had actually considered doing that in the tutorial series, but I haven't gotten anybody asking about it, so I don't know if I'm going to include it in the tutorial series. I haven't even built those quarters out. If I do, it's more than likely going to be something that I just add in to the ship, but I'm not going to show how to do it. Because it would be simple enough that I think anybody, if I do end up showing it, that you'll be able to replicate it really without a problem. But that's just kind of my thought process on it, because I'm already at the point where there's still quite a bit left that we have to cover, and we're already on episode 129. Like I said, it wasn't my intention to have this episode, the series, blow up as much as it did. And, again, this is going to be something that I'm really going to be trying to combat moving forward, trying to figure out, and I believe I figured out a way to do this to cut down the amount of time that it's taking me to do certain things in the tutorial series. Um, but you guys really aren't going to get a chance to really see that too much during this tutorial. You guys probably won't start seeing that until we get into Voyager, because like I said, this has been a whole learning experience for me doing these tutorials. I'm still kind of fairly new to it. I am going to make mistakes. There's going to be minor things here and there that I can improve on. So, just take that with consideration. And if I do make a mistake, or if there's something that you see that I can improve on, let me know in the comments section. As long as you're cool about it, I'm all for constructive criticism. It's only really when I get those blatantly obnoxious people that come in and they say the rudest thing for shock value, and then they wonder why you don't want to talk to them. You know what I mean? So, but I haven't actually had to deal with that in quite some time on the channel. I will say that pretty much like 99.9% of the people that I've come into contact with on YouTube have actually been pretty cool. And there's been a bunch of people joining in the Discord that have been awesome. And, it's been a way for me to really communicate with people, and be able to talk with outside of my videos. So I mean, that's been cool. And there's gonna be more things that we're gonna be doing that with that going forward. Another thing that I've only talked about one other time, one of the reasons why I really want to hit 1,000 subscribers is because I want to be able to do live streams on YouTube. I think that this would be really something that would be very cool to do. There would be a lot of different things I can do with that, as far as doing live builds, discussion episodes, maybe a couple of review episodes. That's something that I've been toying with doing, because I had dropped a couple of episodes on the um, 2016 Star Trek Beyond Enterprise A 1.1 refit. I did a couple of discussion episodes on it, and really why I did that is I wanted to kind of dip my toe into that and do a discussion video and see if I can get people into it, because I've never done anything like that before, and it's had some modest success. I think that I'll get more views with it as time goes on, but it gave me enough confidence to think that once I do hit 1,000 subscribers, these are things that I can do, as well as doing my tutorial videos going forward, because the tutorial videos aren't going anywhere. But, having different discussion videos, this will be a way for me to get additional content out, that I think that will be good for the channel, be more content. But I also don't want to put out content that's meaningless. So like anything that I do put out like that, it'll probably, I want to say you could probably expect that that's going to be related to Star Trek at this point. I haven't really necessarily dedicated my channel to it, but it seems like that's the thing that most people that have come onto my channel have been the most interested in, even though I've done other builds. It seems like Star Trek just keeps being the number one thing that people want to talk about on the channel. So I'm really kind of trying to embrace that. But with that being said, if I have people ask me, hey, once I do start doing these discussion videos, maybe you should do a video on this, or maybe you should do one on this, like on this show or movie, and like I might end up doing that. I don't know. We'll see. But the point is that there's a lot of cool stuff that I have coming on this channel. But I'm trying not to bite off more than I can chew, and I'm really trying to put my right foot forward on this and do it in a way that I'm successful. And I think right now the main focus is finishing up the Enterprise D. Because that's been a promise, going on over a year to get this thing ready to go before I start focusing on anything else. And then even after that, I've got Voyager to do, and then once we hit 1,000, I've got the Enterprise A 1.1. So I've got a lot of promises there as far as things that I've told the community that I plan on doing. So I want to make sure that I deliver on those. But there's going to be a lot of other things I want to do too, because even on our way to 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to be doing some. I think I'm going to be doing like some live model builds, tutorial or build/tutorials to show people how they can paint a 3D printed model, because I plan on getting my U.S.S. Enterprise 1.1 printed. I'm working on right now the final touches on it. Now that I have the ship built, I have to have it broke down into pieces, just to ensure that there's no issues when I get it printed. and from there, sometime in May, I'm going to have that printed up, and then I'll probably start doing videos on it. But I think that'll be a lot of fun. It'll be something different on the channel that I haven't done before. Kind of dip my toe in that, and I'm not gonna lie, I've had the itch for a while now to build out a real model. Um, and I think I figured out a way to do it at my apartment here where I won't get paint all over the place, and I can do something like that and get away with it. So that'll be pretty cool. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm really looking forward to what my next build's going to be after the Enterprise D. It's more than likely going to be Voyager because ironically enough, I mean, other than the Enterprise D, that's been my #1 ship request on YouTube. And it's winning out in the polls right now. So if there's another ship that you want to see me do other than Voyager, and you're aware of my poll that I have, you need to get on there now and vote because we're rocking and rolling on this Enterprise D. Once I'm done building it, not putting out the videos, but the day I'm done working on this thing, that's the day the poll is going to end. I'll try to give everybody a heads up when that's going to be. But definitely now is the time to hop on Discord and participate in that, so this way your voice can be heard. Now, there's a lot of other cool things and reasons to get on my Discord channel. I had a watch party for Star Trek The Motion Picture the other day that was pretty cool. That was the first one that I did. That was moderately successful for the first one that I've done, and I'm going to be doing more stuff like that. But this is just a great place to come in and meet the community, be able to share your builds. And not only that, be able to post suggestions, feedback, also things that you want to see me do. It's just my Discord has been really, it's turned into a resource for me of things I couldn't really do nearly as well when I was just doing it from the YouTube channel. So I'm definitely pretty happy with how that's turning out. But anyway, getting back to what we got going on here is I've been kind of talking about a lot of other stuff other than what we've been building today. And that's honestly because this has kind of been self-explanatory. I don't think I really had to explain this out too much because I've already pre-talked about what we were doing here. We're working on our back wall, and then we're going to start working on our pillars. And, this is, an exploratory session where we're trying to figure out the best pattern to get our pillars in place, having this block template landscape to work with. I think getting rid of the stairs and swapping those out for the quartz blocks is probably the way to go here. Just so that the half slabs and the full blocks match. That's really my main reason for wanting to do that. Even though they do kind of have that cream color here in the picture, that's why I had them there just like that. But I think that we can get away with having a slight variation with stuff like that, because at the end of the day, we're kind of limited by what we can do based off the blocks that we have to work with. If we had a full spectrum and stairs and half slabs, that would be a different story. But at this point, just kind of waiting on Mojang to do something about that, But with that being said, it's not looking too bad. Now, this blue block that I'm putting behind these pillars here, you might be scratching your head at why I'm doing that, but really what I'm looking at is this area right in here. There's no way in hell that we can make, because that's basically like a shark fin. That's the best way I can describe that shape. There's no way that we can build that. So really the only thing we can do is have a single block. I thought about doing it in the white terracotta, but I don't know. I think what I'm going to end up doing is just switching it back to the quartz. And even this is, I think, going to be the last, well, not the last, but one of the other variations that we're going to be making with this, as opposed to how the quarters actually looked on the Enterprise D to what I have. Now in the Enterprise D, you can see it has on these quarters these giant, beautiful windows. Unfortunately, with the pattern that I'm building out here, there's just going to be no way to build out these large windows. So this is ultimately what I'm going to decide to do is where the white concrete, right there, that row, we're going to be swapping that out with a dark gray concrete and have that simulate a window. So it won't actually be a live window, but we can get away with stuff like this because remember, it's all about perspective when you're building your ships out and what you want people to see. We've got all of our facades out, well, pretty much all of our facaded windows on the outside of the ship. So it's really not a big deal to do stuff like this on Minecraft if you do it in the right way. I started experimenting with this a little bit when I did the Cerratos, and it turned out very well. And I'm doing it. I'm taking that to the next step on the Enterprise D. This is something that you could probably expect to see me do more of as we go in the future, just so I can do exactly what I want to do without being limited by placement on the outside of the ship compared to the inside of the ship. So you can see what I mean here. We're going to take out that row of white concrete. Same thing here, and have a window. So this way a window is actually there. Now in a perfect world, what I would have done is that I would have had a row of dark gray concrete half slabs and used those to kind of go up a progression where the windows were much larger like this. But I felt that it was just absolutely imperative to have these windows and have several of them, just like in the picture, even if they're not nearly as big. I think my main focus here was keeping the shape of the room intact and only veering away when I had to. Somebody might consider that a cop-out. I don't know. I think all things considered, what I have to work with here, we don't have a bad shape going on here. And it's slowly starting to feel a little bit like a TNG room, even though we've got a lot to do. You got to kind of have like a little bit of an imagination here to see how this is going to progress. But you kind of have to, like I said, have that imagination and see all of it in place with the carpeting and all of the furniture and, of course, our walls in place and the rooms separated. These will be, of course, in place by the time we get through episode 130. Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, when I did this, I believe it's going to be a 2-part episode. If it ends up being 3, don't hold it against me, but I'm fairly certain that when I built this out, it was only 2 parts. We're looking pretty good though. We pretty much have our space established as far as the total size of the room. Now at this point, it's just a matter of sectioning it off and then starting to clean it up. Now, what I'm doing here with the back wall, I mean, at this point, it's dealer's choice. Like on the picture here, we've got that's basically like that cream, that white terracotta. If you want to do that with the back wall, I say go for it. I think I established early on during the tutorial series why I'm being very light using the terracotta, because when I started adding more of it, like it didn't look pretty on Minecraft anyway. And this is something you have to just take into consideration when you're transferring something either from concept art or a rendering that somebody had done from a fictional ship. But anytime you take something like that and you try to transfer it into a block world, there's going to be not only your interpretation of how that's going to look, but also how well it's going to look. You might have to make some adjustments. That's just been my own experience and what I've found as I've gone, from build to build with doing stuff like this. So you basically have to make some adjustments as you go. Or at least I like to anyway, because, again, at the end of the day, there's 1,001 ways to build this thing out, and hey, if you want that white terracotta back wall, I say go for it. There's nobody, there's no such thing as the Minecraft police or anything like that with people saying, hey, you can't do it this way. I say go for it. Do whatever you think is going to give you your perfect ship. That's my opinion on it. And I mean, that's exactly what I'm doing here, I've taken some liberties with the inside of this thing. Not just this room, but just the ship in general, because, I've just been building the ship that I want to do and using the reference material to help guide me along the way. And I think it's been working out pretty good so far. So, I mean, we've got our main room established over to the left, and now we're more in the bedroom area. So we have to establish our bedroom out, but then we also have to build out the shower um, restroom area, which isn't something that you see in the ship. Oh, that's something I wanted to talk about because I was some people were talking in my Discord, and they brought up a really valid point. They're like, "How do people go to the bathroom on TNG? Like, I've never seen a bathroom." And or it was something like that. And they posted pictures like they had some bathrooms that they put up in the primary shuttle bay, and like it actually made me chuckle a little bit. I was like, like that might be a thing that we need to add in there just to get some restrooms because. Like, what are people doing? Like, are they holding it to make it all the way back to their quarters? Um, and even then, like, I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know if they ever actually showed, the bathroom on TNG. Maybe it was like in one episode or something like that, but I could be wrong. I don't recall if they ever did. But that's going to be something that's going to be on here. I mean, if the very least the quarters will have it, but I might end up adding a couple of restrooms here and there in different areas of the ship because it just makes sense for the ship to have it. And that's something, and it's cool that people are starting to think like that because this is honestly the way that I approach my builds. Common sense. If it makes sense that the ship is going to have something or that it should have something, then you should probably add it in, you know? But yeah, I think we're making some pretty decent progress. You can see we've added in our pink carpeting. That isn't necessarily the color that I want to add because going back here to pause this for a second, the color's just slightly off. This is more of like a burgundy red, and I tried the red and it was just way, way too red. And of course, the pink is just too light. The purple is too purple. So I kind of just settled on the pink to get the closest color, but um, that's what we'll be using in to fill in our floor here. So this way we don't have to have ugly white floor, and we can actually have that beautiful carpeting in place. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. And if you did enjoy this content, please help me out. Hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And new subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on so you get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, you can always catch my new Minecraft episodes dropping Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. And of course, if you have any questions regarding today's episode, or just dropping by to say hey, be sure to drop a comment below or join the Discord and join the discussion. Definitely love hearing from everybody. But yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. I just want to thank you all again for tuning in today's episode. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And of course, what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section.